Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin Khatamin Nabiyyin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in wa ala kulli man tabi'ahum bi ihsan ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is indeed an honor and pleasure for me to be in your midst this evening, and I was told that this meeting is convened to inaugurate or to launch my booklet or my article that I have written on the financial crisis from Islamic perspective. In fact, when the subject of this meeting is my own book, it doesn't look nice to speak about that booklet, because if I praise it, I will be praising my own self. And if I criticize it, then the question arises that when you know your faults, how did you commit them? So it is very difficult to speak about one's own book. But taking this opportunity, I would like to introduce how I came to write this booklet. In my childhood, when I was studying Islamic jurisprudence, I came across a very famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he has said that when the people of rural areas bring their agricultural products to the city, then a person from the city should not work as a middleman or as a as a middleman or as an agent to sell his agricultural products in the city. When I read this hadith, then my father, Hazrat Maulana Mufti Muhammad Shafi Sahab Rahmatullah Alayh, who has been Grand Mufti of Pakistan, he was teaching me. Then he explained to me the reason of this command. He said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has prevented or prohibited to work as an agent for the rural people who come with their agricultural products, because if a person from rural areas comes with his agricultural products and sells them directly to the market, then normally he will sell it cheaper without losing his own profit. But if a person from the city becomes an agent for that person, then he will hoard the products and will sell at a higher price, which will not in the interest of the society. That is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has prohibited this practice. So when I grew up and studied this hadith directly in the books of hadith, then I saw that this hadith is followed by a very, very big principle enshrined by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Da'un nasa yarzuqillahu ba'dahum min ba'd." Let the people be free, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives rizq to one person through another person, which means that the direct relationship between the seller and buyer should not be interrupted by a person who can dictate his own conditions. So I thought that this is somehow is similar to the concept of market economy, that the market should work on its own without someone interfering with its free action. So then I thought, if Islam recognizes market economy, the forces of demand and supply, then what is the difference between capitalist theories and Islamic economics? Then when I was thinking about that, I came to the question of riba, that is interest or usury. I found that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran has termed riba as waging war against Allah and His Messenger. إِلَّمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَإِلَّمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأَذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So I thought, what is the reason of this interest-based transaction being taken as a waging war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Then I thought that such kind of declaration of war was never done by the Holy Quran against drinking liquor, against eating pork, even against adultery and fornication. But it has been declared as war against Allah and Messenger in the case of riba. I thought that, is there any similarity between this and any other sinful act declared by the Holy Quran? Then I found that there is one verse which says, إِنَّمَا جَزَاءُ الَّذِينَ يُحَارِبُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَسْعَوْنَ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَسَادًا أَن يُقَتَّلُوا. This waging war, the term of waging war is used by the Holy Quran against those who commit armed dacoity or armed robbery. So war is against dacoits, against robbers, and the same words have been used by the practice of interest or usury. So I find the similarity between the two, and it came to my mind that perhaps this is a physical robbery, tangible robbery, and maybe usury or interest is similar to that robbery in other terms, in economic terms or in financial terms. So the more I thought about this, then I came to the conclusion that although Islam recognizes market forces, recognizes the forces of demand and supply, still it has its own legal system in order to make these demand and supply working freely. There are some elements there that hinder the free action of demand and supply. If demand and supply can work in an atmosphere where there is a free competition, but if the free competition is blocked by monopolies, then the forces of demand and supply cannot work freely. And the riba and the gharar and other prohibitions, Islamic prohibitions, they interfere with the free action of demand and supply. Because riba and other prohibited activities, they create monopolies in the market. And when there is a monopoly, how can demand and supply can work? How can demand and supply work freely? So this led to me to study the effects of usury and interest a little deeper. Because there were people who were saying that when the Holy Quran has prohibited riba, it meant that the poor people, when they borrow money from someone and they are poor, if the lender claims something over and above the loaned amount, then it is waging war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in our contemporary banking system, the borrowers are not poor. The borrowers normally are wealthy people, and they want to invest that money into their own business. And then if they earn some profits, then if they give some part of their money to the lender, it doesn't seem to be injustice. So therefore, we should differentiate between the riba as prohibited by the Holy Quran and between the interest-based transactions carried out in our modern world, and we should differentiate between the two, and then we should justify this interest-based transactions. But theoretically, this was a totally wrong argument, because if the validity of the transaction depends on the intrinsic nature of the transaction itself, not because it is transacted by the person who is the party is a poor or a rich or a wealthy person. For example, sale is a valid transaction, sale. But if a person is selling water or bread to a poor person and he is claiming a normal profit on his own cost, no one can say that it is an invalid transaction, because the transaction itself is valid. Whether the other party is rich or poor, then the sales transaction is valid. But how can we differentiate that interest is charged from the poor is invalid and from the wealthy is valid? So theoretically, it was not a proper argument. But when I studied deeper, then it transpired to me that the injustice carried out by the lenders on riba in the days of the Holy Prophet ﷺ was not so injurious to the society than it is in our modern world. My brother was speaking of the bubble economy. This bubble economy is eventually created by this riba-based transactions, by the transactions that it carried out on the basis of interest-based economy. And all the hazards that we are facing in today's economy, if you study deeper, they will relate back to the system which is based on interest. Fractional reserve system is based on, in fact, riba based, and this is the nature of money has been totally ignored. Money was created for as a medium of exchange only. Money in itself was not meant to be traded in. But in today's economy, money has become a commodity in which trade is carried out. All these things in mind, when I was invited by the World Economic Forum to explain the Islamic teachings and the causes and remedies of this financial crisis, I took this opportunity. And in fact, the letter sent to me to invite a paper on this subject, spelled out that I should speak of the evils of greed. Because they admitted that the crisis was created by the greed of the people. So they restricted my the scope of my paper on the evils of greed. But I said that is there any person on the face of the earth who says that greed is a good thing? No one can say that greed is a virtue, virtual act. But at the same time, is there any person who admits himself to be greedy? No one. So, greed is a vague term. Merely abusing greed or greedy person does not suffice to reach the true cause of the illness, of the disease. So, Islam has spelled out some principles to rule out the greed. If you say that you should not be greedy, but you are not told how to transact with others, then it does not suffice to refrain you from ill practices. So Islam has in fact set down some principles to prevent greedy transactions. In order to explain that, I said that we must be clear in our concept of commercial transactions. What money is, what sale is, what kind of sale should be allowed, what kind of sale should not be allowed. So, first of all, I spoke of money. That money was created as a medium of exchange. It was to carry out the function of a medium of exchange. But now it has been taken as a commodity in which trade is carried out. So much so that money in its origin was of gold and silver. Then came the token money of coins, and then came fiduciary money. Then came the notes, that is debt-ridden notes. Then even these notes are not representing today except a very minor percentage of the total supply of money. I think it is 3% or something. 3%. And even the debt-ridden notes of today's economy are only 3% of the total money supply, which means that 97% of the supply of money is nothing but numbers fed in computers. Nothing else. This, firstly, money was traded, then notes are traded, then debts are traded, and then debt over debt are traded. So much so that these derivatives that in the form of futures, options, and swaps. Now, I have quoted someone in my paper that saying that the total worth of the derivatives which have nothing on their back, the total worth of derivatives has reached to a number that if you placed dollar notes end to end, they can revolve around the sun 100 times or something. And they are, many times more the total GDP of the world. So, this is normally in our economics, it is termed as bubble. I say it is not a bubble, it is a balloon created only by assumptions, nothing beyond that. And the crisis, in fact, the crisis, how this crisis came into effect. You know that in US there was a boom of house financing. Everybody, was financing houses with very competitive prices, competitive rates of interest. So everybody rushed to finance homes, and then financing, the financiers at least had their own limitations. They had no wealth to lend money. Therefore, they lend money and then they sold their debts to factoring companies and to so and so. The factoring companies then they sold these debts to another entity, and then a magical product was created in the form of in the form as what you call there was a financial paper which represented the debts receivable from others in house financing. CDOs. Okay. CDOs. Then CDOs was rated by rating companies as AAA. Yeah. Although they had subprime loans inside, but they said through a magical process, these loans have been combined together in order to make them rated as AAA. And it is said, or I don't know, it is said that the rating company charged thrice more than the normal fee they charge from any other. So now everybody, that the CDOs and then these financial papers were sold in the market. The people, everybody was purchasing these papers, so much so that everybody was involved in this house financing projects. All of a sudden, the the prices of house fell down. As they fell down, the whole pyramid of these financial papers fell down to the earth, and the crisis came into existence. So there were 4 causes of this crisis. One is sale of debts. The second is interest-based transactions. The third is the derivatives, and fourth is short sales. These 4 causes I have described in my paper, that these were 4 causes of the present crisis, and which is giving worse and worse, which went worse or worse for a number of years. Still we are not relieved of it. So if we study these causes, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has firstly banned sale of debt. Debt cannot be sold. Debt cannot be sold even on par value. Why? Because sale is something that you exchange something for money. This is a sale. So if you do not own something, how can you sell it? The sale itself presumes that the seller owns a commodity which he is selling. But if he doesn't own it, how can he sell it? So Rasulullah said, "La tabi' ma la tamlik." What you cannot sell, what you do not own. Then the second restriction put by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that you cannot sell unless you take the risk of that commodity, in the sense that if it is destroyed, then you will bear the loss. Then you can sell it and you can claim profit on it. But if you do not assume any risk of the property, you are not allowed to sell it. And thirdly, if you sell something that you are not able to deliver, then it is also not a valid sale. So that is something that is not in your control. It is in the control of the debtor. The possibility of his default cannot be ruled out. So therefore, if you sell the debt to another person, it means that you are transferring your own risk to another for some money. So this is not allowed, sale of debt. Similarly, interest-based transactions or short sale or derivatives. Derivatives means, for example, option. There is nothing, in material terms. There is only some assumptions that have been sold, and then at the end they end up with making differences between themselves. So these are not real transactions that are carried out in our society, in our economy, which have created this crisis. So this is the summary of the basic principles that I have tried to explain in this book, and alhamdulillah, it was well received even in that conference. But that we are now dominated by a system that has taken its root throughout the society, and it is not possible or practicable that merely a booklet could change the atmosphere. But at least these are some points to ponder. These are some points that should be studied in a sincere manner, and if studied in a sincere manner, we may hope that there may be some people who will raise these voices in such forums that are effective in real terms on our economy. So I expect from the audience that they please go through this article in this background, and I hope that inshallah it will be beneficial, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may give us tawfiq to bring a true economy in this world. And thank you very much for your patient hearing. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.